Once upon a time, there was a survivor named Zafra who was trying very hard to live peacefully in a cruel, unforgiving environment. She worked hard to protect creatures that were naturally peaceful. They didn't want to fight. They didn't want to kill. The passives are very grateful and appreciative, and word began to spread of the safe haven Zafra was providing on her land. More passives migrated to her area, and wanting to protect them, she decided that she needed additional help. One day, she went to Usks, the tribe leader, and had a talk with his Rexes. They supported Zafra's vision of what she wanted in her area and remembered all the times she played with them when she visited. Gwen, the Giga, suggested the Rexes provide her with a Rex egg. The Rexes agreed because they knew their child would be well taken care of or die valiantly in battle. With their approval, Zaf started the mating process, and they blessed her with a wonderful Rex egg. She thanked them, and after roaring to celebrate, she went back to her base. It was time to raise a Rex baby. When she got back to her base, nervous, she placed the Rex egg on the incubator and started on the next thing that needed to be done, expanding the base, because there was no room for Kratos and another Rex to comfortably fit in there. She started surveying the land, seeing how to do it, but keeping a careful eye on the egg because the incubator timer is inaccurate. Zaf was standing in front of the incubator, watching the egg, when the egg erupted earlier and 2 Rexes emerged. She could barely get the camera rolling, but she captured their first moments of life. Twins! She hurriedly imprinted them, meaning that when she rode them, their bond boosted their joint powers, and she fed them. 2 little badasses wanting to roam around and explore, but it was crucial to keep them fed. Fed, oh my God, it dawned on her. She needed twice the amount of food and twice the amount of space. She had a lot of work to do before they grew up. The next 24 hours, yes, 24 hours, were laborious and draining, but Zaf didn't give up. Every time she looked at them, she smiled, and Kratos took to them well. Everyone did. She had to be careful, though, calling them little badasses out loud. She learned her lesson from Kratos, doing a bunch of wild things he shouldn't be doing, like getting up on the roof and not being able to get down. She could not imagine going through that times 3. It was already starting. Somehow, one of them got through the itty-bitty door when she told them not to do it. She didn't want them to get stuck, and they were too fragile to go outside. But being little badasses, they didn't care. Kratos had to threaten them so they'd act right. At first, their interactions were 3 hours apart. But even though they are twins, their interaction timers were off. So eventually, it got to the point where Zaf had to care for them every hour and a half-ish, instead of every 3 hours, which meant no sleep. Zaf was starting to get tired, but she expanded the base to twice the size and even added something she'd been wanting to add: windows. She can now view potential threats before exiting the base. She put the dinos in their new space, and they loved that they were no longer separated. She decided to name them the new Rexes based on their personalities. One was overly good, always wanting to cuddle and walk with her. She named him Dante. The other was high maintenance and bad. There's no other word for it. Always doing stuff he wasn't supposed to be doing. Always wanting kibble, never hug. So she named him Sephiroth. They grew up quickly. All the food they were eating. Zaf ended up having to put down a second trough. Eventually, Usk checked in, wanting to go caving. Zaf had to decline and initially thought about not saying anything, but then decided to ask Usk to stop by. He didn't know why. He was shocked when he saw the Rexes and the expansion, then went back to Argy hunting. Zaf shared a concern with Usk before he left. She feared that one of the Rexes would be weaker than the other because the Rex would grow up before the last interaction could be done. He eventually logged off after not finding an Argy, wishing her luck, and Zaf continued to farm meat and raise babies. They were close to being grown. Now, we get to the part of the story that no one knows, not even Usk. Zaf only told me. You see, the timer got a chance to run before Sephiroth grew up, and the interaction he wanted was a carbon Emmy's egg. She went to look to see if she had one, and she didn't have the kibble, and she didn't have a carbon Emmy's egg. Tired, it took her a minute to think of what a carbon Emmy's was. This is a max level turtle, and I am not going to tame it because I don't have an issue with an addiction to taming, but high-level players are looking for that perfect tame, which I talked about before. I am not going to tame this turtle, even though it's kind of igging me right now, because I made a promise to myself that I'm not going to tame things that I don't need, and I do not need, right now, a turtle. So, I just wanted to show you that I'm letting this go. In the end, what was requested of her was the type of kibble from a creature, a perfect level 120 creature. She voluntarily opted not to tame because she felt she didn't need it. She didn't want to tame creatures that would just sit in her base, and she would not use them. She felt that they had a better life in the wild. It's worse than that. She had the egg the entire time. Did you see it? When placed in an inventory, it's called turtle egg. Exhausted from 24 hours of care, which she showed proof of on the communication board called Twitter, but no one knew why she did it. She didn't think to look for turtle egg when the name clearly says carbon Emmys. All the other ones go by the name that's listed. In the end, Sephiroth is weaker than Dante, but he's still a killing machine. She takes the three of them out, and they are excellent at keeping the peace, even from annoying alphas. Sephiroth, always trying to prove he's not weak, got his first alpha kill. He blocks Zaf and Kratos from being able to fight. He's a strong one. That's the story of Dante and Sephiroth. The passives are well protected when they are on watch. Zaf enjoys their presence, but was secretly saddened because she felt she failed Sephiroth. She doesn't have a taming problem, but she wished she did. If she had, she would have noticed the name difference over time. Sometimes, she guessed, it pays to be greedy. The end.